Can you hear me clearly? Yeah. A couple of years, I've never spoken with a microphone before 2 years ago, and I've never really got on with them that well. So if ever it dips, just let me know. Yeah, life coach, that's what I do. I used to hate the term because there's like thousands and thousands of them. There's probably some in the audience right now. You probably know some, right? And you know, you want to become one, go online in an hour, you can call yourself one. Well, you don't even need to do that really. You just call yourself one and then you are. That's how it works, right? But I call myself a dedicated life coach, and I teach coaches how to be dedicated life coaches because it means something to me. And that's what I'm going to be speaking about purpose and about meaning. And this came up at a retreat I was running a couple of weeks ago, actually. One of the people there was asking about what it means to live your purpose, because she sees me clearly living something that meaning to me, to help people to show how extraordinary they are and to live extraordinary lives, right? Because I see people just living way below what they could do. And I know, because I was it for many, many, many years. All my life actually filled with severe anxiety, panic attacks at its worst. So I get it. So I have developed through experience and through learning how to create my own freedom, a deep purpose of when I speak to someone, I want them to see themselves as they could be, not as they think they are. Because generally they're just seeing a shadow of what's possible. So that is a deep purpose that I live through. And every conversation I have with someone, I am living through that. So she was, she feels lost. So she was like, I don't know how to find my purpose. And I said, well, you don't actually need to. You just take the pressure off yourself. You may never find a single individual purpose that runs your life. That doesn't matter. What you can do is live with purpose. And that means, like, she came to this retreat, and she came because she'd been to other things, and she goes, I knew I'd have a good experience. But I said to her, that's not good enough. What do you want to get from this? What could you take from this that could be life transforming for you? She hated the question. She just wanted to enjoy herself, and it was a very uncomfortable thing. But then over time, half an hour or something, she ended up coming up with something for herself. And it was a major moment for her, because she realized how that she goes through life not being purposeful, going along for the ride, and how important it can be just to change that. Now, for me, there are severe consequences to not living with purpose, and that's on a day-to-day basis, by the way. And that could be with a relationship, it could be the work you do, it can be a book you're reading. If you do it with purpose, it changes the impact of it and the consequences for your life. Now, this ring is my dad's ring. Now, he died 5 years ago. Now, unfortunately, I was not living with purpose back then. So I wanted to quit my job to be with him. He'd been ill for many years with Parkinson's, and I wanted to be with him. However, I was trapped in fear. I'd been at this job for a long time. I'd never even gone for an interview elsewhere because I didn't think I could get anything. So for me, I was very trapped and stuck, wishing for something that wasn't coming, trying to do coaching or something, and it was just failing miserably. And in the end, he died while I was busy at work. I was rushing around, and he missed out on a quality of life that I could have given him. It ended up being a wake-up call for me, which led to me on the journey I've been on the past 4.5 years. But the consequence of not living with purpose. Now, purpose for me was that I want my dad to live a great life. I want to connect with him. I want him to live great. That's a huge, important thing for me. But because I wasn't deeply connected to that purpose, it meant I allowed other things like fear of money to get in the way of that. Now, 3 years ago, I actually quit my job. I had 3 weeks' money in the bank. I had no guaranteed way of making it. I, in fact, almost lost my house twice over the past few years since I did this. Guess what? We're okay. My family was okay, right? I didn't die, right? The worst thing that would have happened was we'd probably have to move somewhere else, and it'd be horrible, but we would have done it, right? That was the worst. Now, if I'd have been connected, the reason why I was able to do that was because I was connected to the purpose of, I want to be here for my grandma at the time, who was 99, and being at this job will not allow me to do that. So it was very clear for me to connect to the purpose of, I want to be with her and create a better life for us too. That overrules everything. I will just make it work however I need to. I was paying my coach instead of paying my mortgage. That's how important it was to me to create that. So that the consequences of not living with purpose can seem insignificant on a day-to-day basis, but can have really important consequences. And that's why it's really important to live with purpose. And so you're here this evening, for whatever reason you came here. However, and you may have your own intentions already. And the reality is we're always running unconscious intentions, whether we want to or not, often driven by fear. However, if you hijack that by bringing consciousness to something, you can totally transform what you can get from it. And this is how I talk about change being effortless. It's easy to change like that. Permanent transformations happen on a daily basis for me, for the people I work with, because of this simple way of changing your relationship to what you do. And that can be as simple as creating an intention. So I'd like to give you a little gift of this right now, because it's beautiful that I've started this evening, because obviously we have some amazing speakers coming on later that you'll get to enjoy. So it's whether you came with intention or not, I'd like you to take a moment to consider what you'd like to get from tonight. What would be something that would be something that could potentially transform your life in some way? What could that be? It could be making a new connection. It could be listening to something and hearing an insight that drops in that you then test out in your life, and it changes something in the way you live your life. What is the intention that you want to set for this evening? Now turn to someone next to you and just share that intention now, out loud. Please do that. I'll share it in a sec, actually. Yeah, I will. Okay, thank you. Has everyone had a chance to share? If you have anything left to say, then please feel free afterwards to continue, because this is very important. And you can't underestimate the power of just doing this simple thing of going, what do I want to get from this? So there's two parts to this. The first is to enter into things with that intention. Don't do anything without intention. Don't message a friend. Don't go to work without intention. You can go to a job that you hate. However, if your intention is to provide for your family, and that job at the moment is the way you do that, you can love that job. You can change your relationship to it like that, just by making sure you're living through that clear intention. So that's one part of it. Another part of it is afterwards. Because we often forget, right? You're going to forget. You're going to screw up and go, oh, I didn't have an intention there, and that went really bad. But what you can do is make reason out of it. Anything that happens in life. Now, people often look for a universal reason for things. Now, I don't necessarily believe that's necessarily accurate, that the universe is necessarily guiding us in that specific way. I think it's got better things to do. I think it's up to us to do that, right? That's just my opinion. It's just, my experience. What I have found to be incredibly powerful is making reason out of everything. So when I've screwed up, and I've screwed up thousands of times in the past my lifetime, but the past few years especially, when you create more, you fail more, and it's just one of those things. But what I've become very good at is making damn good reason for it. Like last night, okay, I was on this coaching call with my coaches, so I was doing critique coaching. So I was coaching a volunteer, and they were watching and listening in silent, away so he couldn't see. And then afterwards, they critiqued me. Now, I forgot to set up the call. Very basic thing. I teach this stuff. The very first thing you need to do is teach someone how to be coached. Very simple, right? They don't know what coaching is. They don't know what to do. You need to take a moment to connect and go and tell them what to do. I didn't do that. And it ended up making the rest of the call quite hard. It was quite challenging. Now, the reason that had happened is because I tend to coach people that I click with already, and they kind of understand what I do. So I haven't had to do it for a while. So the beautiful thing about me screwing up like that, and especially for them, one, they saw the impact of not creating that foundation, that spark in the beginning. And also, I got to bring the awareness back, oh, I'm obviously not doing that, right? Because in my subconscious, I didn't do that in that moment. I need to bring that back in, because that is very powerful. So very simple. A screw up turns into something that is actually an important lesson for me going forwards. There are loads of these. One when I won't go into detail, but I sent a 40-minute video to someone that I'd fallen in love with, and I was hoping to invite back. She was going to get married actually, and I sent her a 40-minute video to say, "Are you sure about this?" Essentially. right. It was my last chance. It was the last chance I had. Now, she was like, no, it was a flat no, which stung. However, the reason I made of that is, well, I've never shared my heart in that way before. I've never been that honest, never gone that way. I've never been that exposed in my life. Wow, the next woman I fall in love with is going to get all of that. That's beautiful. So these painful experiences, the death of my father, the reason I made of that is a guiding force that I use to help others, to wake them up to their lives. So living through purpose means entering as much as possible intentionally in this moment, and then afterwards finding and creating the reason that things have happened and what you can use it. We can't ever predict or control what happens in our lives, but we can control what we do with it and how it impacts us. And I highly recommend you do that. So from this moment on, I recommend that you don't go finding your purpose, but you live with purpose. Thank you.